Okay, so today we are back with Hong Kong-based running brand Mount to Coast. Now, to say that this brand has had a big impact on the running scene over the last few years would be a massive understatement. And considering they only launched back in 2024, the brand has done a great job on getting their name and their shoes out there. I was a big fan of their R1 road shoe and their brilliant T1 trail running shoe. However, in today's video, we are going to be taking a close look at their first ever non-plated super trainer, the C1. Now, this has been designed for high mileage, long distances and daily road running. So let's start off with a few facts and figures. Then I'm going to be lacing up the C1 and bringing you guys all along on the first run. Hello everyone, I hope you are all fit and well out there, and thanks for tuning in to another video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Now, there seems to be a fair bit of hype surrounding this shoe and I've really been looking forward to filming this video. So hopefully the C1 lives up to those high expectations today, but you can see that the brand have gone with their sort of classic white and black colorway, but I am liking this little pop of red color with the lace system there and this red sort of stripe running around the midsole. I think it really does lift the aesthetic of the shoe, but let's start off with some shoe stats first. So first up is the all-important price, and the C1 is going to retail for around about $180 US. Unfortunately, I don't have the UK price point while I'm filming this video, but if I do get hold of it before the video goes live, I'll pop it up on the screen here. So is it there? I'm not sure, but hopefully it is. Anyway, they should have just released on the Mount to Coast website, and my pair in a UK 9.5 tips the scales at a pretty impressive 283 grams, which I personally think is a great weight for a road running shoe with this depth of cushioning in the midsole. And speaking of cushioning, we get a stack height of 42mm at the heel and 36mm under the forefoot, giving the shoes a 6mm drop. And don't worry, if you're not a big fan of a white running shoe, there is going to be two other colorways available. Upperwise, we've got this nice lightweight, highly breathable engineered mesh fabric being used on the bulk of the construction, a really substantial well padded heel and a nice soft plush flexible ankle collar. Really happy to see that the brand have gone with a gusseted tongue design in the upper, which also carries a good level of padding. So upper comfort should be decent out there on today's test run. A feature that crosses over to most of the Mount to Coast running shoes within their range is their clever tuned fit dual lacing system, which I personally think allows you lots of personalization when it comes to the fit of this upper. So the laces are split into two sections. The top section is a more traditional running shoe lace, and then below that we've got this cord and toggle system, and what that allows you to do is independently lock the midfoot down and adjust the forefoot. And I think this system works well, and it really does give you a lot of customization when it comes to fit and lockdown. Moving down to the midsole, and this is kind of the feature that the whole shoe has been built around. So we've actually got a dual layered setup. So the top layer utilizes Mount to Coast in-house circle cell foam for enhanced performance, while the bottom layer of rubberized EVA is there to give the runner a bit more support. And if I actually flip them over, you can see we've got this wide profile to the base of the shoe there, and you're actually sunk down into the shoe with these sort of high sidewalls wrapping around your foot, just to give you a little bit more enhanced stability. And when it comes to outsole design, we've got a mix of rubberized EVA and blown rubber, although it is quite hard to see because the outsole is completely white, but we've got blown rubber in all the high wear areas, so under the forefoot there and either side of the heel, just for a bit of enhanced grip and durability. I've got to be honest, I am always a little bit wary when I see lots of exposed EVA on a road running shoe. However, over the years, I've tested out lots of road shoes with rubberized EVA outsoles, and they've all held up well to mileage. So hopefully that is going to be the same case with the C1. And there you have it, folks, some facts and figures on Mount to Coast's first ever non-plated super trainer. But I think that's enough of me talking, and it's time for some action on the roads of Cornwall. So I'm going to pop off, get my running kit on, get these laced up, and we'll see you guys out on the run. Okay, so we're just coming up to 4 miles now. It looks okay on camera, but there has been a strong headwind. So when I was coming down King George's Walk there, I had to work super hard. So it is nice and bright, but pretty windy today. And as far as the shoe goes, I would say just like all the other Mount to Coast shoes I've tested out on the channel, the C1 is true to size. So this UK 9.5 is giving me just the right length in the toe box, and I've got a nice amount of wiggle room up front. So it's quite a wide fitting shoe, and I've actually pulled the top lace down nice and tight. It's giving me a good sort of hold and lock down around my midfoot, but I haven't really adjusted the cord system at the bottom. So again, it's giving me that nice roomy toe box feel. I've also got a nice secure hold in the heel. So all in all, a comfortable, good fitting upper so far. Like I said, I've run 4 miles or just under 4 miles so far. We're going to try and get in our usual 7.5, 8 miles today. So I better crack on and get this test run done. So off I went on the second half of my run, and the C1 continued to impress. And not only was the upper very comfortable straight out of the box, but the Circle Cell midsole was also performing well on the roads and pavements of Cornwall. And it was giving me that nice sort of plush, comfortable ride underfoot. And it also felt like I was getting good levels of energy return, and I was bouncing along nicely. So the miles had ticked past quickly, and I was already at the turning point. So I spun around and headed for home, and it seemed like the C1 was one of those running shoes that didn't need a lot of bedding in, and every element felt pretty good straight away. And in fact, with every mile I ran, the more I was enjoying the shoe's feel and performance. And it felt like Mount to Coast had the balance of the cushioning, comfort and energy return just about right, and had created a running shoe that could pretty much handle most running scenarios, whether it was a steady recovery run or a speedy interval session. But just like that, I was on the homeward stretch and the test run was almost over. Okay, so we are pretty much done, just ticked over 7 miles. So let's get back home and let's wrap this video up with a quick conclusion. So that was a good 7.5 miles in the bag once I got home, but I'll let you into a little secret. I didn't actually film the running portion of this video straight after filming the intro, because I filmed the intro the day after we got back from China, and unfortunately both Liga and myself picked up a pretty bad head cold when we were traveling back. So the plan was to run the C1 for the first time the day after the intro, and I just wasn't in a fit state in the morning. So it's actually been 12 days since I last laced up a pair of running shoes, and I've been itching to get out. You know, like a lot of you will realise at home, it's so frustrating, isn't it, when you're ill and you can't get out and do the thing that you love to do. But, you know, I wasn't sure how I'd feel today. It was a bit 50-50, still a bit congested, but I gotta say it, I think the run helped sort of clear things, shake things out, and I felt pretty good at the end of the run, all things considered. But not only did my physical state feel pretty good, the Mount to Coast C1 felt good also, and I'd actually go as far to say it felt very good out there on the first run. So this upper seems to work really well for my foot shape. It gave me that nice, precise and secure fit. The gusseted tongue, ankle collar and heel cup felt super plush. And you know, I can't really fault this upper construction because it also felt nice and light and airy wrapped around my feet. And it just seems like the C1 is one of those running shoes that I put on and it instantly feels like a very familiar, comfy pair of slippers. But it wasn't just upper fit and comfort that performed well today, because I really enjoyed the level of cushioning and energy return I got from this Circle Cell midsole setup. Now, this is a supercritical EVA in the C1, but it really did feel like it was giving me the levels of sort of pop and bounce that you'd normally expect from a Peber-based foam. Now, Mount to Coast are pitching this shoe as a super trainer, whatever that term means in today's crazy running world, but they do say it's a performance-driven training shoe. So on the way back, I thought I'd up the pace a bit for a mile or so. And when I say up the pace, I mean loosely up the pace, because I think I was just managing to hit sort of sub 7 minute miling with the way my body was feeling after coming back from a cold. But I've got to say it, the C1 handled that higher tempo well, and they felt pretty lively and responsive. In the past, I've tested out several road running shoes with a similar stack height in the midsole and a similar wide profile design to the shoe, and I've got to say some of them have felt a bit sort of bulky and clunky to run in, but that really wasn't the case with the C1 today, and I'd actually say it was the complete opposite. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that the brand have managed to keep the weight down to a bare minimum for a deeply cushioned road shoe, and I think weighing in at 283 grams in a UK 9.5 is a decent weight, but I also think it feels like a really well balanced shoe. So once you've got them on your feet, laced up, they actually run lighter than they physically are. So I think all of those things added up really do help when it comes to the performance of our running shoes. I did have a bit of a concern when I first laced the shoes up because the C1 does come with a decent amount of width in the toe box, and I was a little bit worried that maybe it was a little bit too wide for my relatively narrow foot shape, but once I got running, I soon realised that the width wasn't going to be an issue because the upper felt nice and secure in all the right places, and that wide toe box just gave my feet plenty of room to splay on impact. So if you do have a bit of width to your foot shape, the fit of the C1 should be okay. So rounding up, it was definitely a positive first outing in Mount Taco's first super trainer, and I'd go as far to say probably my favourite road running shoe of 2026 so far, and they've definitely outperformed all the others that I've tested, and I actually think they remind me of Saucony's original Kinvara Pro. Now, I know that was a plated super trainer and this doesn't have a plate in the midsole, but as far as cushioning, energy return and that nice efficient rocker geometry, they really do remind me of that shoe, and I think the original Kinvara Pro was one of my favourite road running shoes and I still enjoy them today, but I think it was really underrated, and the C1 did remind me of those on today's test run. So it looks like Mount Taco have added another top performing running shoe to their ever growing lineup, and it's going to be really interesting to see where the brand goes when it comes to their road and trail running shoes in the future. If you have any questions about the shoes, please feel free to get them in the comments below and I'll try and get back to them as soon as possible, and hopefully I'll continue to start feeling better and better so I can get back to some more consistent running over the next few weeks. I've got to say a massive shout out to Mount Taco for sending us a pair of the C1s to test and review on the channel. It is a big help and greatly appreciated. And obviously a huge thanks to you folks for tuning in again. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really is a big help when it comes to the crazy world of the YouTube algorithm. But we'll be back soon with some more interesting running content, and as always, stay safe and keep on running. But not only did my physical state feel okay, the Mount Taco C1 felt pretty good to run in as well. And I'd go as far to say, like I said, we're just coming up to 4 miles. We're going to try and get in sort of 7.5, 8 miles today. So let's crack on. Let's get this race done. This actually allows you lots of personalisation when it comes to the fit of your running shoe. So the sections are... But not only did my physical state feel okay, but the Mount Taco C1 performed well, and I'd actually go as far...